Welcome to the introductory webinar on the pathway to net positive hospitality. In this webinar, we will discuss the impact the hospitality industry has on the environment, introduce you to the pathway to net positive hospitality, and show how you can use it. First, we will begin with a brief introduction into why the pathway has been developed. Hospitality is having a substantial impact on the environment. Traditional practices of procurement, consumption, and disposal of items are negatively impacting our systems and environment, including through pollution, habitat destruction, and increased greenhouse gas emissions. 1% of total global carbon emissions come from the hospitality industry. In some locations, tourism uses 8 times more water per person than the local population. Studies show that there is triple the amount of coral damage and disease at sites with high tourist use. And 18% of food bought by the hospitality and food service industry is wasted each year. Within the hospitality industry, we are also seeing a drastic shift in attention towards sustainability. This is coming from both external and internal drivers, such as rise in governmental policy relating to sustainability, increased corporate customer and guest pressures, investor and asset owner interests, and the very real impacts we're already seeing around the world, such as extreme weather and rising temperatures. Climate change is already affecting the hospitality sector, with extreme weather increasing the cost of operations and reducing the number of tourists visiting certain destinations. Water risks can lead to higher food costs, political and economic instability, and higher energy prices, all of which negatively impact the success of hospitality. Waste contributes to pollution and can make areas around a hotel unsightly and unattractive for guests to visit. And loss of biodiversity can reduce the availability of materials used to build hotels and food served to guests. It can also damage the unique places guests travel to see. All of these create a strong business case for the industry to act, and some hotels are already leading the way in making sustainability commitments and taking action. There is a strong business case demonstrating the financial, reputational, and regulatory benefits of sustainable hotels. Research shows that sustainability is becoming increasingly more important for the public, corporate clients, and investors, so every hotel should be looking to explore it to ensure the future of their business as well as the future of our communities and planet. 83% of travellers believe sustainable travel is vital, and 58% of consumers say they're thinking more about the environment since 2020. With this in mind, I'll now move on to introduce the pathway. The Sustainable Hospitality Alliance's vision is responsible hospitality for a better world. Our mission is to drive collaborative action to enable the hospitality industry to have a lasting positive impact on our planet and its people. We believe that every hotel around the world must and can move towards having net positive environmental impacts, no matter what their starting point is. This is where our pathway to net positive hospitality comes in. The hospitality industry can be a powerful driving force and has the potential to have a huge positive impact on the environment. However, the industry is complex with hotels at varying levels of environmental maturity and many stakeholders, for example owners and investors, hotel operators and brands, all of whom have an impact on its sustainability. The Sustainable Hospitality Alliance has created the Pathway to Net Positive Hospitality to enable hotels to make strategic environmental progress at a good pace, no matter what their starting point is. The pathway has been developed with input from hotel companies and external experts. It offers a sequential and collaborative approach which uses widely accepted guidance to inform timelines. So what is the pathway? The pathway is a practical framework that will guide every hotel to improve their environmental impact, whatever stage they're at on their sustainability journey. It's a free resource which any hotel can use, from multinational brands to small independent properties. It starts with simple environmental actions for those just getting started, leading through to net zero, towards the vision of an industry having a regenerative, net positive impact on the planet. It aims to support all parts of the hospitality value chain, covering buildings as well as operations, with actions for brands, operators, and asset or building owners. And it covers the key environmental areas of climate action, water stewardship, responsible consumption, and waste and biodiversity. The pathway itself lays out the journey as 4 stages, with increasing environmental ambitions and broadening scope, which accounts for the different stages of sustainability maturity and ambition across the industry. It should be noted that in this first release of the pathway, we have focused on the first 2 stages, starting and advancing. We're currently releasing details for these 2 stages, and further time will be taken to work on the final 2 stages, accelerating and leading. These will be released at a later date. To support the implementation of the pathway to net positive hospitality, the Pathway Toolkit consists of various sections. The Pathway Stage Details is a detailed breakdown of different actions to be taken by the key stakeholders, the asset owner, the operator, and the brand. The Asset or Building Owner Considerations is a set of simple considerations for new builds, large-scale renovations, and building purchases. The Glossary and Acronyms is a set of non-technical definitions and acronyms for key terms referenced within the pathway. There are also additional resources which support the main document. The Environmental Action Planner is a detailed list of possible environmental actions which can be taken. It's filterable by categories such as ease and cost of implementation and the relevant stakeholder, and it can be used to develop a personalised action plan. And finally, the resource mapping, which lists out the useful resources sorted by stage and environmental issue. So now that you know what the pathway is and why it's been created, let's go on to how you can use it to support you on your sustainability journey. The first step in following the pathway is to work out where you are. You can use the overview to determine your current progress on the pathway. The pathway is intended to be used in a sequential way. Some companies may have already started to focus on sustainability, perhaps addressing 1 or 2 environmental focus areas, such as energy efficiency or food waste, without completing all the guidance stated for a particular stage. If this is the case, you should prioritise completing the outstanding guidance for that stage before proceeding to the next one. Once you know which stage you're starting on, here are some things you might want to think about in order to prepare. Make sure that you understand the main goal and areas of business you will be addressing in the stage you're about to start. Decide who will be responsible for implementing the pathway within your organisation. This may be an individual whose role is entirely focused on it, someone who manages it alongside their day-to-day role, or it could be a group of people who form an environmental working group. Think about external factors that will aid your progress. Some of the key factors are listed in the pathway document. And for asset owners, remember to refer to the separate asset or building owner considerations before proceeding. Once you have determined what stage you're at, you can then use the details for each stage to find out how to proceed. Here is an example page from the details. On the left in grey is a statement of action, outlining the general activity. For example, determine key impacts on the environment. To the right of this, the details are then split into 3 sets of actions, which are appropriate for the three main stakeholder types: asset or building owners, operators, and brands. Choose the column which is most relevant to you. In some instances, your position may straddle more than one column. For example, if you both own and operate the hotel. In this case, you should follow the guidance for all relevant columns. Once you have completed the first action, you can move on to the one below. Various tools, resources, and initiatives are linked throughout to support your journey. There are also indications of where you might find it useful to engage with other stakeholders, to have a more strategic approach or increase your impact. For each stage of the pathway, the details follow a sequence. Take stock, set objectives, make plans and take action, and review and report. We will now go into each of these in more detail. The first step is to take stock of your current environmental impacts and risks and to benchmark yourself against your peers. It's important to do this so that you know which environmental issues you should focus on the most. It also allows you to track your progress and the impact of any initiatives that you implement. This stage involves using tools such as the Hotel Carbon Measurement Initiative and Hotel Water Measurement Initiative to measure your current impact and set a baseline. And then also use benchmarking indexes such as the Cornell Hotel Sustainability Benchmarking Tool. All these resources are linked in the details. In the advancing stage, it also involves reviewing and understanding how your operations interact with key environmental issues, such as biodiversity, and understanding what your Scope 1 and Scope 2 carbon emissions are. The next step involves setting or updating objectives for the stage you're focusing on. These should match the level of ambition set out in the pathway overview, within a time frame which is both reasonable and stretching. When doing so, it's important that in addition to long-term goals, you also set interim targets, for example, annual targets, so that you can track your ongoing progress towards these end goals. Step 3 involves making plans and taking action. This requires gathering the resources that you will need, such as money and people's time, developing and then executing an action plan. The Environmental Action Planner is designed to be used in this step. The Environmental Action Planner consists of a long list of potential actions which can be used to develop a personalised action plan by sorting actions which are relevant to you. You can use the options along the top to filter by environmental issue, stakeholder relevance, cost, ease of implementation and potential impact, as well as relevant hotel departments. Once you have filtered the relevant actions, you can use the columns at the right-hand side to create and track your action plan by adding actions to your plan and then filtering to those actions that you've added. You can then use the rest of the columns to keep notes related to your actions, such as team leads, start and end date, and finance needs. Finally, after implementing your action plan, you should review and report your progress. When reviewing what you've done, it's important to look at what you have achieved, any challenges you faced, and key learnings from going through the stage. Reporting can involve sharing progress internally with key stakeholders, such as senior leadership, or externally with investors, guests, and corporate customers. This helps to keep your stakeholders engaged and also gives you some accountability. Once you have completed all steps within the stage, you're ready to move on to the next stage of the pathway. Thank you for watching this introductory webinar. We'll finish with a short video in which you'll hear from some hospitality leaders on the importance of the pathway.
The positive impact hospitality has on our communities and environments globally is unmistakable. But we know we have to do more. That is why we as an industry have united to launch the pathway to net positive hospitality.
It's all a matter of shifting 360 degrees your way of acting and talking, which is move away from compensation to contribution. Make sure you contribute to those what it matters the most, which is your employees, your guests, the local community, the local suppliers. Reduce your energy consumption, preserve the oceans.
No one company can shape the future of responsible travel alone. It requires teamwork and a real collective effort across the industry to achieve a common goal.
Unified, we have the strength to help safeguard the environment, giving back more than we take within our local communities and on a global scale. We know we can't protect our planet alone. We need all hotels, owners, investors, suppliers, and our own associates to advance on their sustainability journeys as well.
The pathway will help create tangible change locally and internationally at scale, supporting every hotel globally, no matter their starting point.
The reality is, the Earth can't wait, and our vibrant industry has the ability and responsibility to act with urgency to bring to life our collective vision for net positive hospitality.
I'm inviting all the hotels around the world to join the movement for a sustainable hotel industry.
We can really make that so needed impact to stop where the world is going, reverse whatever we can still reverse, and really ensure that we make sure that people, the environment, the globe, and everything else is sustained for very many years in the future.